friends, it's Rebecca with Living Young Country Girl, and I just want to share with you guys our experience in hosting a young man from Eastern Europe this past Christmas. If you guys follow me on Instagram or on Facebook or know me personally, you know that we had an amazing time with a young man that came to us from Eastern Europe this past Christmas. Now, I never even knew something like this was out there, like that this was a need, that this was something you could do, until one of my friends posted on Facebook about looking for somebody to host a young boy from Eastern Europe. Now, the company that she happened to be working with did not have facilitators or people that you could be in contact with in my state. So I actually had to go with a separate company. But once I researched like hosting a child, it was absolutely incredible. Like the amount of people out there, that the organizations that are doing this. I went with New Horizon for Children, I think is what it is. I'm like, I just think of the abbreviations. And it was a really great company. It's been around for a long time, and I was super excited and felt very comfortable and very confident in their knowledge as far as this goes, because you do want to make sure you're with a reliable company and a reputable company that has built a relationship with these orphanages and these families and stuff, and with the countries that they're hosting from. So that being said, I decided to go with that company. Now, a little backstory, I'll try to keep this brief, is when I first suggested this idea to my husband, he was 1,000 times against it. Like, nope, not happening. I requested a list of the children, and I saw their pictures and saw one girl that I thought would be amazing to host, and he still was like, nope, not going to do it. And we were at some friend's house when the email came through with the kids, and even they were like, you're crazy. No, I wouldn't bring some kid into my home. And so I let it go. And then about a month later, I got an email that there were like 5 kids left that still needed to be hosted. And I decided to ask my husband again. And this time he said yes. And I like full on ugly cried. I was so excited that we were going to be able to do this. Now, the girl that we had originally looked at was gone, but there were other kids there. And there was one young man that in particular, I was like, I think we should host this boy. He looked like he was maybe 12, 13 years old. And my husband was like, a boy? No way. Like, I'm just like, that's pretty much all that's left are these boys. And, they're harder to get placed. And so he again asked, and they were like, some questions, and I answered them, and he was like, all right, let's go ahead and do it. So he's like, get the more information. I got the information, found out he was actually 16 years old, not 12. And again, my husband was like, nope, not doing this. Like, we have a teenage daughter. Not happening. But the more I spoke with the representative, she was like, teenage boys are actually some of the easier ones to host. They're a lot less drama. They're mature enough to actually be able to come. And again, when I say they're mature enough to come, they're usually better at dealing with a situation. But because they've been in an orphan or an orphanage for so long, they generally developmentally are more along the lines of like a 12 or 13-year-old. Some of them more so than others, depending on how much trauma they came from. So my husband asked our kids, and our kids were super excited. They were like, we'll give up our Christmas presents or whatever. Yeah, let's do it. So we put the deposit down, which is right around $3,000 to do this. And we reserved him, and we had 24 hours to fill out all the paperwork, get it all notarized, and get it sent in, which it's a lot of paperwork, but it's doable to do it within 24 hours. It was totally easy. So we got it all taken care of, got all of our paperwork in, and we were officially approved. We did a background check, and then they did a home visit, and we were officially approved to bring him out. And it was like a month later. It was last minute. So we started getting ready. I started reading the booklet. We had to do an 8-hour, it was broke up over 2 days. So it was 4 hours and 4 hours online class, because we had nobody nearby to go to a in-person one. And so we did an online class, just kind of talking about like worst case scenarios, things you might have to deal with. And they're like, you're listening to this and it's almost like, oh my gosh, what did I just get myself into? Like, what? Wait, no, right? And so you kind of have a little bit of a panic as you're going through this class. And they say that they're like, basically we're going through things that have happened. None of these have happened to one family. It's been multiple families that it's happened to. Like, like no one's going to have all of these experiences. This is like one family had this one family had this one. So it's like, don't worry, you're not going to experience all this. You might experience none of it. You might have something totally new, but we just want you to be prepared for some of the things and some of the rules that are really important, like that you're aware of and that you follow, for the safety of your family, for the safety of these kids, like all that kind of stuff. So it was a really good class. I listened to it with my husband. We just listened online and, chimed in here and there. And we just, yeah, it was really good. So it's nice because they help you prepare in that manner. And one of the things you have to do is you actually have to provide a dental exam and an eye exam. They get a dental exam every time they come, which they do this twice a year at Christmas and during the summer. And the reason they do it then is because the orphanages over in Eastern Europe will close down during the summer and around Christmas. And you basically have like a gatekeeper, like a groundskeeper there. So any kids that are there are left with just a groundskeeper pretty much to like survive on their own. And then the ones and that's at like a boarding school, like the young boy we had, our host son, he was at a boarding school orphanage. So it's a little bit different. So they actually have like, I'm not sure how it works. Like there's like dedicated orphanages and then there's boarding school orphanages, and it's very confusing. And then there's like foster families. So it's very different for each situation. But generally speaking, like the orphanages will close down and they send all the kids to like a big camp, they call it. And it's like Lord of the Flies, is from what I've heard. It's just horrible for these kids. And so to be able to bring them into your home and to show them love, something that they probably have never had is unconditional love, is like absolutely incredible. And just to be able to build this relationship. And it sounds like some people are like, yeah, but you show them how amazing America is and then you pull them away. And it's like, well, we're not here to show them like all that we have. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a big home. You don't have to have any of that. We're not here to show what we have. We're here to show them God's love and to open our hearts and our homes and our families and to bring them in that way. So it's really important to make sure that they understand that, because it's easy for them, and it's hard too, because I feel like some of what happens with the orphanages and with some of the groups that do this is they end up showering them with so much stuff that the kids come back for the stuff, and the stuff becomes the important thing versus the relationship. And I think that's super important to realize. We took them shopping one day and took them to like Ross and Marshalls and Walmart and Target and all the stores that we could around here, where he could buy some outfits and some clothes, because they come with nothing but the clothes on their back. So before he even got here, we bought some pants and sweatshirts and underwear. So the first night he was able to take a shower and put on clean clothes. So that was, something you have to have. But then after that, we were like, well, we want him to be able to go out and kind of pick some of his clothes. And that's where like the class talks about guidelines, and the big book they give you to read talks about like what kind of clothes it can't have this brand, and there's certain brands they won't allow and stuff like that. So you have to, read those things. And it's again to keep them safe. It's for their own safety. Like they don't want any Apple products because it makes them a target for getting mugged. Then no like, what is it, Sean John, or like, some of the ones that have more of a stereotype of being involved in gangs and stuff. So you have to like read these books and see what it is. And because we're not from Eastern Europe, you don't sometimes what you think wouldn't be like South Pole or something like that. You have to think about how it would be portrayed over there, and how it could make them a target or, something like that. So we took him shopping, and it was like Pretty Woman with like all the bags and stuff, and he had so much fun. And then I noticed over the next couple of days he was asking for stuff. Oh, what about this? Like showing me on his phone. What about this? Can I get this? Can I get this? Can I get this? Can I get this? And I finally was just like, no, we're done. We did the shopping and we're done. Like, no more shopping. We're done. And I'm like, we spent enough. That's all. And so it was kind of hard, because in one hand, I'm like, this is the only time he gets to do something like this. Let's just like let him have at it. But then at the same time, it's like, then that becomes the priority and the important thing versus the relationship you build with them. And so I think it's super important to realize that if you are considering hosting, to remember that if you put the priority on buying them stuff, that's where they're going to put their priority. If you put the priority on building a relationship, spending time with them, hanging out with them, playing games with them, going hiking with them, just that relationship, you know, is what is going to be important. So what you put value as important is what they're going to value as important. And so we were able to do all, like, we were able to kind of balance it out. And I feel like still there was, and things like to us, like we're just like, one of my friends it was a blessing because she's Russian. And so she was able to kind of give a lot of insight and be an amazing translator for me, which was awesome. She speaks like Russian, German, another language, and then English. So she's like a godsend in this whole thing that happened, because I had somebody that could actually help me with translating and speaking. Other than Google Translate was amazing, because they don't speak any English, like, or very little English. So that was another struggle. But I kind of got off track and forgot what I was going to say. Oh, well. So anyways, like being able to, that's what I was saying. Things that are important, like things that we wouldn't think about. Like she was like, yeah, like you might buy like a Michael Kors, you know, pair of sunglasses or Fossil sunglasses here at Marshall's for $8.99. And she's like, even over in Germany, those are worth like $130. And so what we're buying at Marshall's for, you know, $8.99 can put a target on them because it's name brand and fancy and all that kind of stuff. So you really have to like be cautious and aware of some of those things. We've never been name brand people. We're very like, I actually try to avoid any kind of clothes that has a big name brand on it, because that's just something that we just don't like. So it was easy. It's easy for us. Like we're just not name brand people. There's no Apple, like, you know, Apple iPhone. We don't do that. We just don't. And there's nothing wrong if you do. It's just something that we personally don't choose to do. And because of the dynamics of where they live, it's really important actually that you stay away from those things. So we were able to just like do the things we needed to do, get him the things he needed to get him his supplies. And some of it's something as simple as like Q-tips. He was like, oh, Q-tips. Oh, yes, I need these. And then it was like face wash and, you know, acne cream and socks and underwear, like basic stuff, like extra toothbrushes, extra toothpaste, like those kind of things. Like it's crazy because you wouldn't think about it. So it's like by the time you buy their clothes, by the time you buy these just basic necessities and you do a dentist visit and an eye doctor, it can really start to add up. But that's where, again, like I think as you do this, it's remembering that the important thing is that relationship. We played so much Uno Flip. He had so much fun. We played Uno Flip all the time. We'd have friends over. We did Switch. My son got a Switch recently, and so we played the Switch, the Mario Party all the time, and we had so much fun doing that. We just like, we got to do a lot. We had like a movie night, and a lot of, like, he doesn't speak English, but his English got pretty good towards the end. He was understanding a lot more. But we would watch movies and trying to find movies that were more action-y, not with a lot of dialogue, like deep dialogue. So things like that was important. And yeah, so it was really interesting. It was a really great experience to spend that time with him and to build that relationship. And we still now, we message, communicate just about every day. We were able to get approval to send him a phone back because he didn't have a phone, and without a phone and internet, we wouldn't be able to speak with him. And so we were able to do that. And then he has a monthly plan that I just pay, and so he's able to keep his phone. And our goal is to bring him out this summer if all goes well. Things are kind of crazy right now in our world, and so we really don't know what's going to happen. But we are planning that and just praying that God will open those doors and provide for that to happen again. And I am going to put a link in the description box below that has a place where you guys can donate to this, to bringing him back. It is a tax write-off. But we are trying to raise the funds to bring him back. Last time, because it was so last minute, we just paid out of pocket. And this time we're really going to try to raise some of the funds because of all the other fees that do end up coming involved. It can get a little bit pricey. So you can usually find somebody to donate the services, like the eye service. We had somebody donate, Walmart donated the eye service, and we had a friend donate the dentist. But it's something too where, how often, like every 6 months, are they going to want to do that again? So I don't know if they're going to be willing to necessarily do it again. We don't have to do the eye exam on this one, but we do have to do dental again. And he has a lot of issues with his teeth, which is really heartbreaking. And some of them, there's nothing we can do because it would require a longer term commitment versus 6 weeks, which is what you have them at summer, and 4 weeks in the winter one. So you really have to look at what you can do, within that time frame. But we were so blessed. We have amazing community and friends that came and just like absolutely adored him and welcomed him in as like our family, and just totally were so amazing. And it was really hard on the last day. We went to the park to, he wanted to say goodbye to everybody. So we went to the park and had some pizza, and he got really, he had requested to do it. And then he got really quiet and kind of started to close up because I think it really hit him that he was going to be saying goodbye to these people, and everybody was crying. It was just like, he just stole so many people's hearts, like, because he was such an amazing young man. And I know that's not the case. I know some people have had horrible experiences with hosting, so I don't want to try to make you think that this is going to be what you're going to experience. It really depends on the child coming. It depends on the trauma they've had and they've experienced. Depends on how you're able to go about it. And honestly, you guys, I'm going to be straightforward, honest here. We probably 4 days in, maybe, or I was like, yeah, we're never doing this again. I don't know why we did this. I don't know why we decided to do this. This was a bad idea. Oh, we got 3 weeks left. I was really second guessing why we chose to do this. And literally, even from that morning when I was feeling that way to that evening, I was praying that God just opened my heart and just made my heart break like the way his would break for this child. And just like, I felt like horrible for him, but I just couldn't. It was just, you have this extra person in your family and you can't really communicate with them, and you're struggling to try to like do this, but at the same time, I don't want to neglect my family, but it takes so much work to do this. And it was just a real struggle. And then at Christmas, we have so many traditions, so many things that we do, and we weren't really able to do them because the communication, like, it wouldn't work, So I was really struggling and thinking that I messed up and like it was a bad choice. And since it was really me wanting to do this, I was really feeling horrible. And literally 2 days later, I was just like, I don't know how we're going to give him back. Like, this is going to be so hard. And saying goodbye was so hard because it's true. We don't know what the future will be for him. He is 16 years old. And because he's very intelligent, he was able to continue after 9th grade. Now, they only usually go to school up till 9th grade, and then they get pushed into a trade school. They don't get to choose what trade they're going to learn. It's whatever they decide, whatever the directors decide. And so because he was smart, he got to continue his education for 10th and 11th grade. They don't do a 12th grade, which is kind of weird, but he gets to continue his education. And so he gets to stay at his boarding school / orphanage. Now, he is not adoptable. So that is something that we did look into. He has 3 other siblings that are at this orphanage. He has 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. And the only way to adopt is to adopt all 4 of them. And that's just not something that's in the cards for us. So it's not something that we desire to do or even are financially able to do. So it would have to be a God thing, which he's already worked in miraculous ways. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would definitely have to be a God thing. But yeah, our laws won't allow us to adopt a 16-year-old without adopting his younger siblings with them. And because they've been together for so long, they won't break them up either. And he has older sisters and brothers. He has aunts and uncles. I don't know the story on his parents. We're not allowed to ask. He didn't share. And that to me is just insane. Like you've got aunts and uncles, and you've got, other siblings and stuff, but yet no one is stepping up. But I don't really understand. It's again, it's a culture thing. We don't understand it the same way as they do. They're told by their governments a lot of times that giving their kids up is the best thing to do because you can't provide for them the way they can, and their economy is so hard. It's horrible right now. So it's a whole different world. It's a whole different life, So adopting for us was not an option. But then he turned 17. He technically ages out of the orphanage, and he will finish school when he's 17. And then technically he ages, which is so weird. So he ages out of the orphanage at 17, but he's still not legally an adult until he's 18. And so even to try and have him come over like on a visa to visit next summer, he'll be 17. He'll be out of the orphanage, but he won't be an adult. And so I don't even know, like this summer, if it doesn't happen, then Christmas is the last opportunity for him to come. And that's the thing too. It's like, we want to bring him back at Christmas. My husband's like, so you're talking $3,000 now, not including all the other stuff, just to bring him over. $3,000 at Christmas. We brought him over last Christmas. We're looking at like, we've already spent like, that's $9,000 just on bringing him over. Not including, we spent probably about $2,000 to $3,000 just buying him all of his stuff while he was here. So it is definitely a financial commitment as well. And I'm just trying to be open with you guys and like honest, because I want people to understand if they are thinking about hosting, kind of what to expect. I still feel that the blessings and the benefits way outweigh the cost. Like, you couldn't put a price on it, kind of deal. It was absolutely incredible. The way that the lessons that he taught us, like that he didn't even realize he was teaching us while he was here. And just the gratefulness and the gratitude that he had, his willingness and he was just such a sweet boy. Like I said, so many of our friends were just like, he captured so many people's hearts because he was such an amazing kid. And that's just who he was. And you can tell that, like, even now communicating with him, he's like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't message you. He was like, I gave my Sims card to a friend because he had no internet and he needed to like contact some people. And I'm just like, okay, you only get so much internet a month. I can't, after that, I'm like, I can't be paying that much like a month for your phone bill. So I'm like, okay, because he knows he has a budget. And he basically, if he goes over that, then he doesn't have internet. And yet he's willing to let a friend use it. And that's just really touching to me. Like, just that giving, loving heart, even after everything he's been through. So, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're gonna wait and see. We don't know if he's gonna come this summer, praying that God cleans up this world and that he is able to come. And then also waiting to see what happens when he ages out. Our dream would be to bring him over here, and maybe get like a student visa so he can maybe go to college over here and continue his education, or a trade school over here. Because that's the other thing too, is because they put so many orphans through trade school. Majority of the kids that are in orphanages are not actual true orphans. Only like 15% of them are true orphans. 60% of the girls will end up in prostitution, and 70% of the boys will end up in a life of crime that eventually leads to jail or death. So being able to give them a future is important. And being that he's the oldest one right now that's in this orphanage, I would love to see him get a good job and be able to help support his younger brothers and sisters. That is ultimately what we want to do, is be able to help set him up to where he can go back and he can either help support them, he can provide that home for them when he goes back, because if he can get a good education, then he can get a good job, because they're far and few people educated to get those good jobs. So that's something that we are looking into, is the possibility of that. But you just never know what the future will hold. We are just going to pray and trust that God will open those doors, because I know for a young man to get even a visitation, like a visiting visa, is really hard coming from his country. It's just not something that is given very easily. It would include, I would be flying out there to help work through the paperwork and do all of that, along with my friend that speaks Russian, just to really kind of work it out. So I don't know. It's gonna be an adventure. We don't know what the future holds. We're just gonna continue to pray and trust God. And I ask you guys to join in that prayer and trusting Him. And I pray that you guys will, if this is on your heart for something to do, I will also put the description box for the organization that we went through, where you can email and get a photo listing to see some of these kids yourself and possibly host them. And again, if that's not in the cards for you guys, not what God put on your heart, then there's the link for donating to helping us bring our host son back. And then also just the opportunity to like I said, join us in prayer if that's where God has led you to do. So that is kind of my story. I am going to go ahead and share with you guys a little photo collage here now on the end of some of the pictures and some of the experiences that we had while he was here. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was still a long video, shorter than the last one, but I really just wanted to share with you guys our experience and kind of how it was. And if you have been looking into hosting, what maybe it will be like for you, just some of the things that are expected, some of the things that go on, and just how amazing it was. And again, like I said, the pros way outnumber the cons in this situation. Again, we had an amazing child. That's not always the case. I know there's a lot of people who have had struggles and hard kids, but like I have some amazing kids myself, and I'm thankful that they are very understanding and kind, an amazing, understanding, kind husband. And so that helps too. But we also are very stubborn, set in our way family. So it worked, but I know that's not always the case. But I just wanted to, like I said, kind of share with you guys all of this. And now I'm going to share with you guys just some of the memories that we made with our wonderful host son that came out here. And I can't say his name. I can't say where he's from. That's why it's kind of been vague. Those are all things that you can't say. And so, but I can show you guys these memories that we made. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And again, if God leads you to move, I pray that you guys move and follow his lead and his call. So thanks for watching, you guys. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye for now.